All right, let's do a problem that we went over in class. This is section 3.9, chapter 3, lesson 9. This is over weighted averages. So let's read this problem. It says, the cheerleaders are selling 20 pounds of candy worth 80 cents per pound. They want to mix it with candy that is worth 50 cents per pound. How many pounds of the 50-cent candy must they add to create a mixture worth 60 cents per pound? So this is what we know. The 80 cents candy here, there are 20 pounds of it. We also know that the 80 cents candy has a price of 80 cents. Another thing we know is the 50 cents candy, we don't know how many pounds of it there are because we want to add a certain number which we don't know. So in algebra, when we don't know something, we use a variable to represent the unknown. And so there we go. And then we know the cost is 50 cents. Another thing we know is that the mixture cost is supposed to be 60 cents. The mixture needs to be worth 60 cents. And so now that we have our mixture cost, we need to find out what our total pounds would be. Well, since x is something we don't know, our total pounds would be 20 plus x, or x plus 20, using the commutative property. What we want to do after we find this information is to multiply down. When we multiply down, it's going to allow us to come up with an equation that's going to help us solve this problem. And so when we come up with the equation, it'll look like this. This cell plus this cell is going to equal this cell. And so 80% of 20 is 16 when we multiply it down. 50 cents times x is a half x. And we have to use the distributive property to do this. And so it's going to be 6/10 x plus 60% of 20, which is 12. And so like I said, our equation is already created because now we have, bringing this over here so we can use our algebra, 16 plus a half x equals 6x plus 12. 6/10 x plus 12. And so I'm going to then use my algebra to solve this, and I'm going to subtract 5/10 x from both sides, ending up with, drop down my 16. This is canceled out. This is 1/10 x plus 12. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. This is 4 equals 1/10 x. Dividing by a tenth is the same as multiplying by 10. Dividing by a tenth is the same as multiplying by 10. Example, here's 1/10. If we were to divide by this number, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, so it's the same as multiplying by 10, and so they cancel out. So if you remember that, we can do this problem without using a calculator and without using division. And so we know then that dividing by this is the same as multiplying by 10, and so then x, or the number of pounds you have to add to the mixture, is 40. And don't forget your units. 40 pounds. Just to recap, 20 pounds plus x pounds is x plus 20. 80 cents for here, 50 cents for here is going to equal 60 cents here. Multiply down, create your equation from that information, solve for x. X is what we were looking for, 40 pounds. All right, the next problem I want to go over is a distance problem. The Tinley boys and girls basketball teams had a game at the same gym. The girls first left the gym going 30 miles per hour. So we have girls and their rate was 30. The boys left 10 minutes later going 35. The boys left at 35. How long will it take the boys to catch up to the girls? Here we go. So the girls left and they went 30. The boys then left and they went 35, but they left, it says here, 10 minutes later. So during this span, there was 10 minutes. What we do know is that they went the same distance, though, because they went from the game to the school, right? And so, and plus it says catch up, so it means the same distance. And so if the boys took 10 minutes less to get there, it's t minus 10. Now you can do this a number of ways. You say t minus 10, but 10 is in minutes. You need to change that to hours. You can change it to hours now or at the end of your answer. And so I'm going to change it to hours at the end of my answer because this is in minutes. Keep in mind, our units need to match. Then the girl's time would just be t. And so now, distance equals rate times time. Well, here's our rate and here's our time. Multiply those two. Here you have to use the distributive property. This is 35t minus 350. And this is just 30t. Now remember that we said their distances are equal. And so that means 30t is equal to 35t minus 350. If this is true, I can then start solving for t. Subtract 35t from both sides. Getting, this cancels out, negative 5t. Don't forget, different signs, subtract, keep the sign of the number with the highest absolute value. 35 has the highest absolute value. Its sign was negative, negative 5t equals, drop down your negative 350. In this case, we have to divide by negative 5 on both sides, and t then is going to equal 70, a positive 70. Now, don't forget, this is in minutes, because everything we did so far was in minutes. To put it into hours, we must divide by 60. And so, in hours, that would be around 1 1600ths of an hour. Around 1 1600ths. Recap. We knew their distances are going to be equal because they said how long will it take to catch up. We knew the boys left 10 minutes later. That means it took them 10 minutes less time to get there. So t minus 10. We multiply the rate times the time because that equals distance. If their distance is equal, we set these two things equal to each other. 30t equals 35t minus 350. Use your algebra then to solve for t. T equals 70 minutes, but we need that to be in hours. Divide by 60 to get 1 1600ths hours. Have a good day.